definitely.
What?
Talking of running events, playing events, do you want to tell us? So I think something that a lot of people are interested in are what lists did you see at Adepticon doing well?
Yep.
What did you? I mean, we know a few, but we haven't actually had much talk about it. Like, or at least on the places that I go, I don't go to Facebook. I don't like it as a platform. As kind of as you said, I can't keep up with it. I have a job. My job is not Facebook, so I cannot use Facebook. So I personally don't know the teams that were winning. I don't know how you personally did against other teams. Like, were there any teams that really pressured you? Apart from the one that you did lose against, because apart from that, you had a clean sweep, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And so I played Chuck from LVO. He got third place. I played his Necrons. He gave me a good run, definitely, because the flayed ones, I think he should, I told him, I was like, he should run flayed one spam against me, because I think they're 10 points, and he could have run 10, but,
Yes, you can run 10, yeah.
He's not down for that, and I understand, because the shooting is pretty good, and I don't know if he had all the models or whatever, but I think he ran like 4 or 5 of them against me. And,
so the standard list, I believe, is 5 Immortals and 2 flayed ones. I think.
That was his standard list, but I think he ran like 4 or 5 of them against me just because of all the Poxwalkers.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that I think was like his LBO list. But he had like 2 Immortals, maybe he had 3 Immortals, a Warrior, and however many, maybe he only had 4 flayed ones, whatever he had left. And,
sure.
He just ran them up right in, and his rolling just kind of betrayed him. And also the disgustingly resilient is super real. Like, people are just like, oh, and I'm like, no, it's the 5 again.
It's the 5. It's the 5.
Yeah, the Poxwalker should probably be 4 points, honestly. I mean, I know it's got leadership 4, but I'm just, as somebody who played it, I think it's the greatest value for a troop in the 3 to 5 point range. I mean,
sure.
If they're multi-damaging you, something's going right for you or horribly wrong. They've either already nuked your Plague Marines or they're desperate to kill a guy off the objective. There was a Space Marine player, and again, this happened at Nova, where a Space Marine guy came in. I played him in the final game of Nova, and I was really surprised. And same thing, we were playing for a pod. Both of them were really great players. I can't think of his name right now. It was just such a blur, playing like 12 people between 2 days. But he was playing really, really tight. And I think with some of those players like Chuck and like him, if they had been playing another army that wasn't so elite, they could have really given me a run for my money. And he had the plasma guns to deal with, like the Plague Marines and stuff like that.
Quick stop you there. I personally don't hear much talk about not Astra Minotaur. What are the Space Marines called?
Adeptus Astartes.
There you go. The Adeptus Astartes. Yeah. What list was he running that pushed you then?
So I think the good trick is to take a Space Marine Sergeant, right? Not make him your leader. Take like a scout with close combat weapon as your leader, the cheapest guy you can, right? Hide him out. Give the sergeant the Auspex, which I think allows you to like ignore obscured.
Is this a Primaris sergeant or just a standard sergeant?
Just a standard sergeant, whatever the cheapest one. He did have a couple Primaris in there, and I think depending, like the other guy at Nova was playing just 1. But I mean, he can take that grenade launcher thing. But they're like, what, 3 points more than a regular Space Marine? So, discounting for a normal Space Marine, if you're just going to take a stock standard guy with a bolter, spend it for the Primaris, in my opinion. If you want the special weapon or whatever you're going to take, then of course you have to take a Space Marine or a Scout. So you take the Sergeant with the comms, right? And then he's got the Auspex too, so it's basically ignore the -1 to hit and +1 to hit with the comms, so it's effectively a +2 to hit. So you've got that nice little guy then in your backfield, and you can give him a plasma pistol then too if people close in on you. So he's not completely worthless back there, and you can power whatever your missile launcher, which again it's random for the damage, right? I'd take the plasma gun over it most times, just because even if you overcharge, maybe with your sniper guy. So it's kind of like the Tau can do, where you get your hitting on a 2, re-rolling ones, overcharge, 2 damage. That's the type of stuff that'll, strike fear into the heart of a Plague Marine. Because when you hit him with that 2 damage and that -3, I'm looking for that 6. I didn't hit it ever, and then the 2 damage, it's rolling right through that disgustingly resilient, and then the 2 out of action dice again. It's just so that's the go-to there, and then I think that's kind of what you'd base the list around, is having that really shooty, effective setup, and then maybe rolling some more scouts in, a few Primaris here and there for more durability. Kind of stuff like that is what it was based around. At Novi had the missile launcher, and same deal. The nice thing about that is you can outrange. We were playing on where it's like 3 inches here and 3 inches here or whatever. And I didn't want to move. I kept not moving. And so I was firing at long range and he's firing at half range because I didn't want to leave cover. And then that's kind of what led me into trouble, where he's just like blowing a guy away per turn. And I'm, looking to hit on 5s, I guess, at long range and obscured. So, I mean, if you've got that good terrain too, I was able to take up some really good firing positions. If you were like clever with your ruin deployment, or if you picked the good ruin, actually both of them, you could deploy it like close enough to the 3 inches that part of the top level was in your deployment zone. So depending on which piece you had, you could place 1 or 2 guys on the top level there.
Well, that sounds broken straight away. If only one person can do that.
No. So there's 2 ruins. And you have to place them first. And so the one ruin, you could get 2 guys up there, 2 32 millimeter, and the other ruin you could get 1 guy up there. So you could always get one of the 2 pieces, because those are the ones that have to go first. So if you're thinking a little bit, maybe not in the 3-inch deployment, those tiny little ones, but in the 6-inch and in the table quarters, definitely you could probably get a whole team up there. And I guess that brings me to the next point, is that Tau did really well there. Eric was running his Tau drone spam.
Quick note, both Chuck with the Necrons and Eric with the drone spam, apparently, are signed up, ready to be interviewed tomorrow. I'm gonna have a very long day.
Great.
But so yeah, we're gonna hear their side of your lies about how
they're both multiple pod winners, so they were rolling through that 3-0 score pretty well. Eric was on track tournament 4 18-18 to come in super hot, and I was at 18-17 at this point. So I'm thinking, he makes a clean sweep of game 3. He's got, best overall at this one. And it seemed like he played a guy who was, not a noob because he was 2-0. He was playing the guard, the guard special weapon spam, but just like super like pokey, I guess. We're talking 1 hour and a half, 90 minutes to finish these games. And they did not complete turn 3. You know what I mean? I had two games that finished at turn 3, but I think part of it too was that day 1 we had started late, and there was the evening event was set at a start time, so they were making up time like during the rounds. They were cutting time off, and also there was no time clock on the wall. They had this big screen set up day 2, and you could just see that we're in turn 3. There's 30 minutes left. We're perfect. It takes all the anxiety out of worrying about if you're going to finish. And that's a big thing, is if you don't finish in these battle point events. Same thing with Warhammer World, right? If you get only a couple turns in, you're never going to get those top scores if that's what your goal is. If you're thinking, okay, I need to top score as many as I can to get a good placing. Luckily, Arena kind of has a built-in safety against that, right? Because turn 1 seems to have, I guess it depends on the map, but many of them it's just kind of positioning, right? There's not a whole lot that goes down in my experience, and some of them, so you kind of just blow through that turn 1, and then you can spend more of your time on those later rounds, which is which was really great. But yeah, the Tau, they could fly. So another thing we talk about in the Discord is the rules, right? We have our rules debates in there or whatever, or discussions. I pretty much just listen. But so
there's
the
very
understanding,
passionate
I think,
people in there about rules. Very passionate.
yeah. Yeah, it's a little people, you can a little more aggressive than some of the Facebook. Well, Facebook gets kind of you know what I mean too, I guess. But so I think the consensus that I understood is that scoring objectives. So it says something like, "Do you measure vertically when measuring for objectives?" And it says no.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the designer's commentary or the Q.
So it actually says we're measuring between objectives.
Yep.
Apparently, a lot of people took that to mean we're measuring from your model to the center of an objective, but it's actually referring to when you measure between two objectives, when you are placing them for placement purposes, do you count the vertical distance? Apparently, a lot of people are playing that wrong because they misunderstand basic English sentences. But whatever. I guess maybe I'm one of those passionate people about rules as well. I don't know.
Grammar is hard, man.
It is. Oh, you're telling me. Preaching to the choir.
Maybe not for you English fellows, you know, do it properly. But so did the objectives score then? We were playing it, and I think my impression was nobody asked the judge either. So it was just like, I mean, like I didn't ask him, and it only came up against myself and George, and he's like, we're counting it like an infinite cylinder, right, up and down.
Sure.
So, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like,
as long as you both agree, then fine. Yeah.
But what would you understand? And granted, this is completely irrelevant for Arena because there are not multiple levels, basically. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
is
my understanding.
Or do you?
No,
I mean,
not.
I'd be under the impression measure directly from the center in all directions. So there'd be like a little bubble. So if you're like standing on a pipe, right, an inch above the objective, you measure like from the center to your base.
Yes. So there are two reasons that I believe, and when I say believe, I mean know, that it is played as effectively an objective marker is a 2D object. Well, 1D really, but ignore that. So the reason for that is partly because of the wording in the rule, in the designer's commentary, which I don't have to hand, but it says between objectives. You would never say between objectives if you meant an objective and another object. Between is implicit that it means two of the same. Unless you specify a second object in the sentence. For example, you could say between a marker, an objective marker, and a player base, that's fine. But the other reason is that when I went to Warhammer World, I actually asked that question because I believe it came up and there was an objective marker in the floor below me in one of the ruins. And just to be sure, because the designer's commentary hadn't been released at that point, by the way, we called a judge over and they said, nope, you measure from the objective marker to the base of the thing. And I was just out of 2 inches, so I had to jump down.
Great. I literally like walk to my cube and like grab my charger, and then I'm sure it's distracting for your viewers.
I think most people just listen to it. Actually, I think what we do here is irrelevant. I think most people just put it on a second monitor and forget we're talking. Anyway, do you remember what we were talking about? I'm happy with reading it the way it is described in the designer's commentary, and the fact that a Warhammer World TO told me that's the way it's played. That's acceptable for me, and not that So there is a little something to note there. Just because a Warhammer World TO says this is the way it's played is in no way an official ruling. just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a TO. That would be just as valid
Mm-hmm.
as you ruling it at LVO.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously the fact he's at Warhammer World does give him somewhat of a pedigree.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he is just a guy. He's not the guy that wrote the rules. He's not, he's just a guy.
I mean, we could post it on Facebook too, and Mike Brandt will probably reply. And I tend to take whatever he says as gold because
I think that's fair.
Because everything, at Nova, we didn't have a pack, and then they said, okay, this is how the fallback rule works, like in it, because they have people that are involved in the play testing of it there, and so usually he'll kind of like say that too in his competitive DK reply or kill team Facebook group replies, where he's like, is this how this works? And he'll say yes until they change it and stuff like that. But it doesn't really matter. But the reason I got into that is because Tau was doing super well at the event.
Yes,
and it's because they were playing. Yeah, so he was able to fly on top of these ruins, which is certainly an advantage to like, it's really hard to see them up on the building. It's really hard to charge them up on the building. Like, you can have like 5 dudes below, but you can fly 8 drones up on the top of it and just have it all game. I mean, I really like the drones too in kill teams or in arena as well, because
very good.
I think that I mean, I know they can't open doors, but I mean,
frankly.
I mean, you can fall back and shoot, right? It's -1 to hit when you fall back and shoot. Is that right? Or is that a 40k thing only?
Oh,
I
think that's 40k only, but I almost never play with units that have fly, so I can't confirm.
Yeah, so even saying it's like worst case scenario where you like hit on a 6, like that's what you hit on when you shoot at somebody that's obscured anyway, right? So like 6s are normal. You're taking 4 shots, like you still have like a 2/3 chance of a hit then, right? 4 out of 6 is like just taking 1 single shot. So I think it's great. And there's upside. You could roll 2 or 3 6s if you got lucky. So I told Eric, I was like, got to take the drone spam in the last event, and that's the one where he went 18 and 18. He didn't take my exact list, but he's like, oh, I'll think about it and then improve it. I was like, you got to run like 11 gun drones in a stealth suit, because that's what I was thinking about. I was going to go to the secondhand shop there. They have all these painted models and stuff, and I was going to buy that, bring something different. They had no drones, and so I was like,
disaster.
Plan over. But so he did it, and he'll probably tell you all about it. He took a couple rail rifles, and like a Crute leader is kind of his take on it, with like however many drones that buys. But
interesting.
Yeah, he was I don't know, it was really successful for him, and I think that the fact that you can move block in kill team, that's what I found to be the Poxwalker's greatest success, is that, if somebody wants to come in and like mess with your horde of Poxwalkers, you can just feed one down the hallway at a time and just keep, every turn you eat up of them, even if they kill the guy, whether it's like a flamethrower guy or who have you, it's time is extremely limited in kill teams. So for drones to be able to do that, get charged, they shoot Overwatch, that's pretty much their normal shooting profile, fly over them onto the objective. Like, some people, I think a lot of the armies that performed well are going to continue to do well in kill team for similar reasons, minus flying over terrain and, We'll see. Mobility is a little more important, I think, in arena. The Poxwalkers suffer a bit more because I can't take a direct route. Yeah. That's kind of how my terrain deployment was designed. It's just to give me a direct route from point A to point B. But we had AdMech do well. I'm just trying to think the armies that I played like in the final rounds. Thousand Suns, other Plague Marines. I think it's a lot of the armies.
So how did Thousand Suns handle themselves? Because from, again, my Discord, what a lot of people seem to think, including myself, is that Thousand Suns should be top tier. But we haven't seen them win anything yet, and we mainly say it's because they're underrepresented. How were they representation wise, and then also were they doing well? Or
Yeah, they were well represented, but it wasn't. Before I was gonna take Thousand Sons originally. That was my plan. I was thinking Thousand Sons and then Servants, and then when I found out that, I got onto the Nurgle, and that was kind of like the end of my rope. Like, until the next expansion comes out, in terms of like, stuff that I was interested in playing. Like, I know a lot of people play Death Guard, but personally, I hadn't seen anybody running like crazy poxwalkers like this in my local meta. So
I
to me,
haven't heard of 15 Poxwalkers before. Yeah.
so it was new to me, and like, I'm sure there's somebody out there that before I did. So now I'm gonna try something new. You know what I mean? And so I don't think they were taking enough Zangors for my liking. I think the Zangor, like we were talking before, is one of those great utility troops where at 7 points, toughness 4+, or 5 up invulnerable, -1 AP, 2 attacks. You can take a couple specialists. I mean, really their only hang up is the low leadership. So I played against a guy that had like 4 of them, and that was good, but it's just, I mean, when you're running like an 8 man list, you're not doing yourself any favors. Versus, I mean, I've been interested in running like 9 Zangors or something like that, just one specialist with whatever gun you need for the battle, and then the sorcerer.
That sorcerer is very tasty. Yeah.
The sorcerer, I think, leads people into too much trouble, honestly, and that's what I saw all the time. Is that he's got this great close combat weapon. The flamer at one point is a bargain and quite nasty, and they try to push him over his limit, and they just put him right out there because they want to shoot with him and they want to assault with him, and then I just kill him every time. And
he will go down. He's just a standard Marine, really.
Yep, and you can't all his dust or whatever the sorcerer. No matter.
He does have a 5 up invuln, I believe. So yeah.
Yep. He's nice, but I think if you're playing with him, you gotta make that effort on the last turn to fire that flamer or fight in that combat. That's kind of how I often played my Plague Marine leader, where it's like, you overcharge your plasma turn 4 because you already got the command point, and you can already kind of tell if he's like standing on a critical objective or not. So I think you got to run the great value group, pick what specialist you need, and don't try to get too much from the sorcerer, because his smite is worth his or Cybolt, is worth his cost of entry alone, in my opinion.
It effectively removes the model a turn, really.
Yeah, it ignores so many of the mechanics in terms of like rolling to hit, rolling to wound, rolling for a save. It just goes straight through to whatever you're disgustingly resilient. And
injury roll. Yeah.
If you try to Cybolt me, though, I'll be making the disgustingly resilient every time.
Yeah, 5 ups.
I mean, that's but you can. I mean, on normal terrain too, you can. I think you should just try to be like poking his head out, at the one guy you want to see, or 2 guys maybe, in case they move on you and stuff like that. You really got to minimize his risk, like I said, until turn whatever late game, and you can throw him out there to try to get some craziness out of him.
He's much more powerful in regular kill team, just because obviously Cybolt is 18 inches, and that's really not that great in arena. Certainly the games that I've played with Thousand Sons, you have to play him in a very certain style, and I was for a long time holding him back. You cannot hold him back because he does nothing for the game. You have to run him forwards, and then, well, he's just a normal Marine, really, so he's going to die. Oddly, despite him being so powerful, he's actually quite a finesse character to use.
Yeah, well, in some of those arena maps, there's like those really long hallways, like on the whatever I would call it the front side. Not the one that has like that center room. And he can actually kind of like sit out the range of a 12-inch half range weapon there, like a rapid fire thing, and throw the smite from a little further down the hall. I mean, granted, they can move within distance, but it's hard. The horde models will always kind of just eat up that Cybolt too at the same time, even if they don't have, a Tyranid player isn't going to care too much about it. I mean, I think mid tier, yeah, but they did do some, they did decent. Is there any other factions like you're interested in particular?
No, so Tyranids. So as I kind of hinted at the end of last video, you said there weren't really that many Tyranids, or no, sorry, you said there were Tyranids, but they weren't beating pods.
I saw some people with like a 2 warrior build and however many like Hormagaunts that gets you,
which is generally from the almighty Birinid. What he says that is how the list should be played. And again, most of the people in my Discord agree that 2 warriors makes a lot more sense, because obviously you reach a critical overload of bodies, and you just you can only score 9 points from the primary objective, so you don't actually. So if you take away six bodies, which is the most you could ever really want standing on an objective, take that away from your list, what are you left with? Well, if you've still got 2 warriors and another 6 Hormagaunts, well, you don't really need any more than that, so
yeah, and there's much less risk too that he's going to die, that both of your warriors are going to get killed versus, definitely. I did play some practice games against Tyrannids leaning into this, like the LVO winning style list of just 1, and I mean, he basically has to sit there the whole game. Otherwise, if he pokes his little head up, I'm going to overcharge my plasma gun, add them, and fire the blight launcher, probably the heavy blight launcher, right, and take the extra shot, 4 or 5 shots into him that are going to do 2 to D3 damage. I'm trying to kill him instantly, and if that happens to you, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I mean, my list too, like I have 18 models and you have 20, so it's not really that much of a difference. That was my thinking, and then I'm like, well, actually I get some good killing out of my Plague Marines versus, you kind of have to be really careful and cagey with your warrior. So I did see the double list. I don't know who. I'm trying to think like what matchups were beating them. It actually could have been like Admech that I saw them go down to once, and then maybe Guard, where it's like kind of that, you get hit with that plasma, and it could be the end of the line for you there, especially if you're not super paranoid just about your, if you're trying to, that venom cannon, could be bad news for you if you're just trying to poke your head out there to fire off. But if you have 2 warriors, it's great utility then, and you've got some decent shooting then to come along with it. So yeah, Tyranids. I didn't see much Eldar there. I did play against some Dark Eldar, and there definitely were Harlequins that were taking advantage of like those like storage container type deals, because they can basically hide behind them, and
then charge 3d6 across the map.
Yeah. So they're, they were doing it, but still like a 6-man model. If you're gonna go kind of heavy on the upgrades, maybe 7.
Yeah. How were the Drukhari to play against? You said you played against them?
Yeah, they were insanely fast. Like when you're in the mission where it's like 1 corner down here and then 1 corner here, and you got like kind of the 2 close objectives and like the 2 far ones like that. I mean, they're getting to both the far ones. Like this, like there's the close one, the semi-far one, and the one that's like my semi-far one, which is like their furthest, and that like 6 deployment style. I mean, they're touching like 4 turn 1. You know what I mean? They're the witches are nice. They got that nasty little net, so you can't fall back from them.
Yeah, that's right. Were you falling back regularly with your Poxwalkers? Was that a big tactic for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, I won't fall back off an objective, but like I don't know. I didn't buy them to fight you. Like the only guys that I really like to fight are those little flies that you'll have in the. Are you still running the Geller pox or whatever?
Well, yeah, the curse mites or the whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the little fly dude, I'll fight because I mean I hit him on a 6 right with the -1, but if I wound him on a 3, so like all right, I'll take.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I'll probably have 3 guys standing around you. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it went down for me and George. So like that's fine. But I mean, why would I not fall back if I'm going to stay on the objective? Like you're just going to be standing there. Like yeah, I do it all the time. It's great, especially in arena if you can get in close enough. I always try to make sure to like get myself in close enough so I leave myself space to fall back outside an inch, but still stay within the objective and stuff like that. Like I had 3 poxwalkers just outscoring Aberrant on an objective, like you know the whole game practically.
He's not gonna kill you, yeah. So why not? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a good tactic, and then other armies that are kind of more invested in their troopers like a Zangor or a Hormigaunt and stuff like that. Like they can't really afford to do that because it's a little more of like, you know, their killing power is pulled into those troops and stuff like that. So,
yes, yeah,
yeah, the fallback. Oh, the other thing where I really made some sneaky moves was like charging through the walls, fighting through barriers and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because you can engage within 1 inch, right? And you do get like a -1 to hit fighting through an obstacle.
Yep.
But as I mentioned before, we're playing climb over the ruin walls.
Mm-hmm.
People are so preoccupied with taking up these firing positions or like hiding, you know what I mean, that they're never really. And in 40K, it's like a very important thing because like the Imperial Knights, for example, can do the same thing where if you're within the wall, so people know to declare their intent as being 1 inch away from the wall, and people weren't doing that, and it wasn't even really that close. Like I was easily getting within a half inch of them, so it wasn't like, you know what I mean, I was like stretching that inch. Really, it's like you're standing directly next to the wall for your best visibility spot, and I'm just throwing a poxwalker, and like I did it against Chuck, like, you know, his immortal. I grabbed him, the Space Marine guy that I was talking about in round 3 to win one of the pods. You know what I mean? I'm doing that to kill one of his scouts off an objective. I mean, I'll just hold people up. You know what I mean? And you might as well lose 2 turns of shooting.
You've got the models for
fall
it.
back.
Yeah.
Against Admech, I was just pulling that stuff relentlessly, and I think you know, it's not really a viable tactic in kill team, but the fallback onto the objective definitely is. I mean, even if you're outmatched like in any degree, or if you've got some shooters to back you up too, you know what I mean. To come in, you really got to play to your advantages, I think, and kind of know when to run. I'm trying to think of other armies. Yeah, there were Green Knights. There was Deathwatch. There was Chaos.
How were Deathwatch doing? Because again, from my Discord, I know that both Michael, the Eldari player from LVO, and Biranid are both quite heavily theory crafting about Deathwatch and how best to run them. How were they performing?
I played against one running the 3 frag cannons with the leader and a shotgun guy.
Okay. When you saw the 3 frags, were you like, oh dear, also hitting, this is going to be tough, or were you like, whatever?
I was like, and then I just reached down into my bag and I pulled out like the pre-measurement tool that's got like the 2-inch thing on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm just gonna spread out and I'm gonna feed one into you per turn. I don't think I ever several times warp flamer. You know, I'll feed 1 into you per turn and space out. Like 18 isn't so many that I can't space out, especially when I leave like a couple back on my objective. I never charged one once, I don't think. Oh, I did once with the flail because I was actually just trying to pull him in a proximity alert. Yeah, that was like I'm just maxing this score, so I wanted to tag him through the wall, and then I pulled in poxwalkers and trapped him in. And that's a great one too, is when you can just surround somebody on an objective. I'm like hoping I don't hit, and I'm like, I've got this objective against an Admech. like, you know, combat guy with like the little mace or one of their little rust stalker guys. I'll just sit there all yeah, 5 poxwalkers in a circle around you, scoring every turn. You know, you're not shooting any of those off, even if you did have the firepower to do it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how the Deathwatch in Arena, same thing. I played them. He brought all the frag cannons. He had to leave one in the back room. He killed 2 of my Plague Marines, and this was with the full horde on the first opening volley. He double flamed, then killed like my mace and my leader in the first shot. And then
big.
You know, and then I'm like, oh, turn 3, blight launcher, killed 1. Oh, I have a poxwalker over there. Oh, I have like 7 on this other one, and I'm feeding you like 1 down the hallway at times, so you can't get within range to flame the group of them. And you know, I win on objectives 3-1. I mean, do you have the bodies to do it with 4 guys effectively? I mean,
no, you do not.
Yeah, so I mean, those might be the armies where if it does go to 150 points, like we've said, it's a rumor, where if they start seeing maybe that 7-8 man roster, and you know everybody else is capped at 20, that 20 doesn't become so crazy now. And yes. I mean, for me, I like that. You know, sorry, I know it's late where you are. Oh,
no, I sneezed. Maybe. Sorry, I sneezed.
Excuse me. Okay, sorry. I thought, I like that, like 11-12. You know, model count mark is for me where it's like that's like the minimum. 5 for me, it's like a non-starter. Like, yes. I don't know.
Grey
That's
Knights,
just where I'm at.
I'm not planning on winning. Let's just say that. I think that if things do go to 150, Space Marines, basic Space Marines, are going to really show up a lot more in competitive. Because right now, if you run them bare minimum, I believe you could get 10 scouts, which is fine. But if you take that to 150 suddenly, okay, you could be talking about 15 scouts, but you could be talking 10 scouts, 3 Primaris. Suddenly, that's a lot more to think about. You're 13 good units. Whereas right now, 10's good, but don't know.
Yeah, and the orcs were out in numbers as well.
Okay,
Eric
good.
beat like an orc guy to win a pod. I played several. Just happened every time. It was like mission 1 out of the packet, where it's got like that sweet center objective where you both start 6 inches apart, and like one guy basically gets to move on to it, and one guy gets to like charge the guy who moved on to it, more or less. Mission critical supplies are in that one. Dominate, so you can double up. I mean, I control the center on that. I'm maxing that every time.
Yeah.
And I did. They had the knobs, the double power claw knob builds.
Yep.
You know,
the basic.
Extremely fearsome. Yeah. You know, they could tear a Plague Marine in half. But I was just able to screen them out.
Okay.
No.
Even with their boys couldn't chop through your poxwalkers quick enough.
It's just like one game, for example, he veteraned up into the middle and then was like ready to charge me, and then I decisive moved into him, just ran 1 poxwalker in, and then he didn't have the charge, so I like swarmed him and then like threw my flail in. I think I did, or I came in later, and then another one, he moved in first, and I don't know, I just I couldn't charge, but he was in that center position, and I just poxwalkered all of 1 knob, left the other one open. I mean, I was afraid of the orcs getting in assault with my shooters, so that's when I was really riding those rooftops heavy, like with my gunners and stuff like that. And then I'd wrap up 1 knob, shoot the other one, you know, with my 2 gunners, like really hard, kill him, and then, you know, put my flail into his boys and just like let him sit with his knob in the middle, swinging on that 4+ against the poxwalkers. It's like, I put 8 in the center, man.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? I've got 8 guys in the center. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think they're good. I was definitely worried, but once I realized that I could just like screen out like my flail with like 6 poxwalkers, and you couldn't attack me first, really, like just in my deployment zone type stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the lists were all good, solid lists. They weren't going like too heavy with like any of the shooty craziness. Like, I think you should run. Um, yeah, I don't know what I would have done differently. I've thought about like a 15 orc build with like 3 grots,
Yeah.
just all boys, just
Okay.
to try to fight off that the nid horde, and
Well, I
got
mean,
them
they
off.
are 3 attacks, strength 4. That's not
Yeah.
bad.
Um, just it is like the bar, you know what I mean, to see if like can I compete on the horde level, and that's kind of what led me into
Yes.
this
Yeah.
like box walkers, and I think I've got more utility in my expensive guys, so you know let's have it out and see where it goes. So
Okay.
yeah, the orcs were doing pretty well. I didn't see this or bad or what. I tried them after Nova, like the cultist lists.
Gene Stealer Cult, sorry.
No,
Oh,
chaos
Chaos, sorry.
cultist. Sorry,
Right.
yeah. And I just no, I thought the gene cult had too more. I've actually got a sprue of them from the starter set, so I'll be building them and experimenting.
Cool.
They got 2 gunners, 2 specialists, some assault element. Like they've got enough to make it work in theory. I don't know if any of them. I don't know. I mean, they're heavy weapons. I don't know if they've got enough oomph in them, and they certainly did against me. But just the chaos cultist builds, I don't know. It seems like you either go all chaos cultists, and you're kind of like a discount rate tyrannid list. You don't have that leadership buff, or you get too enthusiastic with the chaos space marine specialists, and
And
you don't
then
have enough
yours.
cultists.
Yeah. I've got to say, I haven't really seen why competitively you take heretics over probably Tyranids. Yeah. I mean, you're
Yeah.
either, as you say, not quite as good as Tyranids, or you're not quite as good as Space Marines. So there's a middle ground for you, maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, so I'm pretty interested in Tau at this time, and I don't really like their fluff, and like their models are like okay to me. Like I'm just not like that's they've always just kind of been like that army that just shoots you off the table. It seems like you don't interact with them a lot. Like in 40K, this is like my 40K prejudice is coming through to Kill Team, where it's like
Sure.
I either
Yeah.
punch his face in and it's like he doesn't have a game, or he blows me off the table turn 1, and it's like one way or the other. And
I actually quite like Tau. The only
mm-hmm.
thing I don't like, that in main 40k, is that they're just um shield drone spam, and that's kind of their only way to survive, and that actually doesn't interest me at all. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, they did well at the champions. They had 2 Tau players in the top 16.
Oh,
So, and they
okay.
had one at LBO. So I don't know what type of list they're running exactly, but at least they're competitive. There was great diversity. Like there was great diversity in Kill Team, but in the 40K event, there seemed to be great diversity as well. Maybe just
Oh,
with
okay.
orcs and taking a bit more presence than other people. So that's good. I mean, they can try to be like Kill Team and have that, and that's really, I guess, what I would take out of it. I mean, I don't know if they were, winning, but so I think we talked about Uncle Adam earlier with the game 4, and that's
Sure.
something
Yeah.
that you can probably do a follow-up video with, is that I have their contact info. They're going to try to give us a list of all the pod winners, hopefully with the factions. Otherwise, we
That would
can
be
maybe do
great to
some
see. Yeah.
yeah, and we can see, who really won all their pods and stuff. But we'll also have a lot more data drop right next weekend at the Warhammer World event, and that should be
Yes.
crystal clear, I think, because do they publish their results or something? Or I mean, I know I saw a full list for the last one. I don't know if that was like a player sourced.
Yeah, I don't know where those come from. The only ones I saw last time were just somebody on Facebook posted a list. I assume it was real. I don't think it was Games Workshop though. However, I'm gonna be there for the whole day, so I hopefully will be able to, I don't know, at least see who's on the top table each round, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So, yep, I'm thinking I'm gonna be there. Sure, about like
Awesome.
90% sure that I'll make it. So, if any of the, you know, any of the people from on the other side of the pond,
My
any of
side.
you fellow Brits, yes sir, see me, and I'm hanging out at any time. I may not be playing because I don't have a ticket at this point. So,
Well, you are going to
if
be
you
there on
wanna,
Saturday?
yeah, yeah. So my plan is I'll get in town like at 10, 11 a.m. Saturday, and then I'll take the train up.
Okay, so you won't
What?
actually be in Warhammer World during the day, then you might get there late, like
Yeah, in
5-ish.
the afternoon maybe. Well, how
Okay.
long is it? A 3 hour? Is it a 3 hour ride up from
Yeah, it's about
the?
from London Central, it's probably about 2.5 hours to Nottingham,
Okay. Is
roughly.
that like out of like is that like Paddington area? Is that the London Central Station, or am I gonna have to
Uh,
connect? I
that's a
think
very good question. I can't. I
I don't
think
know.
I left from Luton last time. It was weird.
Okay.
It was weird.
Okay. So yeah, maybe in the evening I'll be there, but if I'm just hanging out Sunday, that means I'm not playing. So I'm down to talk pretty much anytime I'm not in the game as well if I am playing. So Poxwalkers will be there as a reserve. I'm looking at
If they won't
Chaos. I
allow
got some
the
new
beta
box.
rules, Servants of the Abyss, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. I could bring Zangors too and surprise people. Maybe I got the Thousand Suns box as prizes, so I just need to buy like a box of Zangors. But yeah, I'm not gonna try and just like run the Poxwalkers into the ground. I mean, I feel like I don't know. I like moving around. That's the best part of Kill Team, right? Is like you can have fun at a
Yeah.
couple tournaments with one, and then go to the next thing, and it's like you can paint it in a week if you have to, or you can afford to buy it
Well,
reasonably.
just like we were saying at the beginning of this, doing an entire 40k army is too much work. But doing like 15 different 20-man kill team lists, no problem. That's fine.
Yeah.
Even though there's more models in that, it's no problem at all.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm much the same as anybody that watches this channel knows. I'm all over the place with which factions I like to play. Which is why I'm probably not very good because I never practice with any of them for more than 2 weeks in a row, usually.
Well, if you play the overpowered factions, you just walk right into it like I have. I had about 4 games with the Death Guard, so
Does seem a bit OP, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'll be the first one to say that. I'm not going to tell you that I finessed my games. I maybe tried to finesse
Brute
getting,
force, yeah.
the 18 versus the 17 or 16. Like that took a little
Impressive,
planning on my
impressive,
poor
yeah.
secondaries, but um,
Have you
that was
been
the
to Warhammer
design.
World
So
before? Sorry.
I never have. So
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. So
I would I've only been once before, but actually I think it's really nice. Um, like
yep.
not for playing, but you've got the Warhammer World Museum and you've got Bugman's Bar, and those two things are worth going on their own. The actual playing probably not going to be as good as Adepticon. Odd as that might sound, well, okay, so that's not true because we're playing Arena. If we were playing
Hmm.
regular Kill Team, it wouldn't be as good as Adepticon, but because it's Arena, it's going to be fine because that's all easy terrain that they will have for us.
They're providing it all this time.
Yes. Yep. That's what it says. They will provide the board and terrain
Okay.
for Kill Team Arena. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I figured I got my self-covered if I don't, get into the tournament like you were saying. I've never been there before. They've got the museum, the bar. It'll just be cool to watch too, kind of as a bystander if it comes down to that. So I definitely won't be left out of any experience. But I figure it's worth a shot too. All the events around here, we've got plenty of flaky people that. I mean, 30 pounds though, people might actually show up. Right. That's probably like what, $45 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous, ridiculous. But whatever.
But yeah, so do you have any other stuff coming up after that? You gotta.
Nope. Still looking for a reason to live after that. I haven't found it yet. So we will see.
Well, Elites is on the horizon at least.
That's what I'm waiting for. Actually, I'm very excited for Elites and Warcry. Warcry has actually really kicked me off into an Age of Sigmar thing at the moment. There's a group at my local game store that have started a slow grow Age of Sigmar. And so I'm jumping in on that. So that's a thing. You said that you play Age of Sigmar. Or your friends were playing Age of Sigmar and you were going to watch?
Yeah. I'm pressured in now. We're thinking about doing the team tournament next year, which is like 4 1,000 point armies.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to do like the Chaos Gods or something like that. So
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, for Warcry, I'll be on the tables. So
awesome.
Seems cool too. It's going to be like all the factions almost now. They said at the Warhammer. Did you see that from the preview at Adepticon?
I did a video about it. Yeah, so I'm very excited. So there are 6 different Chaos warbands, and then there's 9 non-Chaos factions, which is great. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, me too. So there's a lot going on in the skirmish. So I'm hoping they're going to bring in the Hive gangs too to kill team at some point. I think that'd be cool. I mean,
that would be interesting. Considering we don't even have demons, I'm skeptical, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But you never know.
They're one white dwarf away though, just from bringing it in. They've got all the models. Demons too. I'm surprised we haven't seen sisters yet, and so I think we're nicely situated to potentially have more expansions just in White Dwarf alone. The way they're just dropping stuff on us. I mean,
talking of Necromonger, the way they officially introduced Genestealer cults to Necromonger just with White Dwarf, didn't they?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it was just an article in White Dwarf. It's just, hey, you could use them in Necromonger. Here's the rules. I don't think they ever gave them an official book for Necromonger. It's just, there you go. So.
Well, maybe we'll see like a similar release schedule to like what their box sets are, where it's more frequent than every quarter, but I knew they were doing that for Necromonger at least, where it seemed like every 3 months they'd get a new gang, and maybe we'll see that in White Dwarf, where every 3 months they'll drop in a new, because we already had the Kroot, right? So there's precedence for it. I bet we'll see sisters.
Well, we might get
maybe closer
assassins.
Would the 1 point assassin or the one model assassin?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? 100 point assassin.
I think they're on the record too saying something similar to that. They don't really see demon hunters as having like a large enough like presence in the 40K universe to build them out as a whole book, and that means to me that we could see them as a kill team expansion. Instead, they said it was more for like smaller scale stuff.
Yeah. To be honest,
so you could see,
I would be up for anything. However, kind of this is where they fell down with Commanders for me. Since Commanders released, they haven't had any of the big tournaments include them. If they had just had one of the big tournaments out, Adepticon, LVO Nova, whatever, Warhammer World even, just saying, hey, kill team, Commanders, 200 points, let's do it. Maybe other tournaments would have then followed in their stead, suddenly
Yeah.
Commanders is integrated into the meta. But it never happened. There were no big tournaments between Commanders releasing and now Adepticon, and Adepticon has
Hmm.
said we're not doing Commanders. So
Yeah.
Commanders, please do not go back and look at my videos claiming that Commanders is the way you have to play Kill Team now, because apparently it's not. It's a bit of a misfire, which is weird. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm an anti-command guy. I mean, not really, but like that's what the tournaments are, right? So like Mike Brandt was like, nah, on Facebook. I was like, say no more. Like I just two things. I think it's really hard to balance like a 100-point model and like 150
Yes.
point, or is it 200 for commanders? You know what I mean? It seems impossible from that perspective. They either have to be like amazing or like super worthless. But I think it kind of gave them like more time to work on further expansions, if that makes sense, from a playtesting edge, where they could just drop something where they're not super concerned about getting the rules perfectly balanced, and that like allowed them to focus either more on the fundamental game when it was being developed or more on the elites expansion. And they just said like from the get-go, like this part of this project, will hold people over for more releases, because there's certainly a lot of people that do play it, you know what I mean? So it'll keep people's interest up, but we don't feel the pressure or the need to commit resources to like perfecting it and, upsetting the balance of the game. Where I think that that's something that they've been, preoccupied with, trying to balance Kill Team from its inception. And I think they've done a great job, like regardless of me just walkers for the weekend or whatever. But
Sure, yeah.
I'm happy with it. Seems to be like at the forefront of their mind in terms of like, we would like this game to be balanced more than anything else, and we're like dropping all the core guys at once, so there's no codex creep or anything like that, and we're going to do all the elites at once and stuff like that. I mean, there's always be better and worse, but I feel like it no game has been so balanced from the get-go. Opinion, and I really I mean, I never would have thought I'd lose to Gene Stealer Cult, and here we are, And,
Was that the one game you lost then, Gene Stealer Cults?
Yeah, but I thought they were crap. Like, I played them like last week, and it's like, oh, your heavy weapons across from my shooty guys. Like, all right, I blow you up first turn. Like, all right, like your Gene Stealer comes in. All right, flail guy. Like, all right, this work. Like, but it's not always like that. So we'll see. I'll probably be playing them a little bit too. I'll probably wait out for some elites before I go too crazy with anything else. I've got the servants sitting in over here, so they'll definitely be, and I've got the Thousand Suns in box, so counting those up. But it's kind of nice to think of the time for like the Warhammer World tournament will wrap up, Adepticon will be over, and then we'll have we had that and Arena too will become sort of it sounds like they're doing Arena at Nova was the word.
Right. It will also be very interesting to see how elite. Well, I guess we really just need to ask Mike Brandt. Are we supposed to be playing elites on Arena? Is that how it's supposed to be played? Is that how he's going to play it?
I would just look to Nova to see what everybody else does, because that's his baby there, and I think that I'm guessing the answers are going to be yes and yes. Arena with elites. I think they're definitely going to come out before Nova, right? So based on our estimations, they will absolutely have to be released. You know what I mean? We're talking months and months away.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah, so I think probably the other events will follow. Warhammer World seems to be in step with whatever like Nova is doing, just based on historic. So they're probably going to both run arena here, their event, and we'll see. Are you guys scheduled for like two kill team events a year then? Is that what it's looking like? Didn't you run one in the fall? And then
Yeah, so
now the spring? So we're
we
looking
did
at,
one just after LVO, just before
yep, so
LVO.
like
No, Nova. Sorry, it came just
yeah,
after
that's what I
Nova.
meant.
Yeah, like the week
So
after.
so like September, yeah,
Yeah.
or something.
So I assume it will be roughly the same. So every year we're going to have a tournament after Nova and a tournament just after Adepticon, presumably.
Yeah.
Although there's also independent tournaments within the UK. Obviously, we
Hmm.
have Blood and Glory, I think it's called. We have the London GT. They're mainly 40k
Yeah.
things. But for
Hmm.
example, when Shadespire came out, that got seamlessly integrated into some of our big tournaments. So it's possible Kill
Okay.
Team will be the same. We don't know yet.
Perfect. Awesome.
Okay. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to say about Adepticon or just competitive Kill Team in general? Anything?
Um, so I don't have any podcasts or channels or any place to find me, I guess, except for in the Discord channel. I'm definitely on there daily and at the next events that I'll be attending. So for me, it'll probably be Warhammer World, like we were, and then Alex from my co-judge with me, co-TO from LBO, will be running the Bay Area Open in San Francisco, California, like next month, at KublaCon or something with the big frontline tournament there. So I'm planning to be down there to play, probably just in his kill team event. Seems like he's got it to be like 50% arena, 50% regular terrain. They're going to alternate. He's got enough terrain to do both, so that'll be like really interesting to kind of see half and half. And then back out in the Midwest, I'll be at the Bug Eater. It's like a big 100-person GT we have out here. They'll have a Friday night kill team tournament there, and then after that, I'll be back out on the East Coast for the kill team right now. I might be though, seeing as how I keep getting my butt beat in 40k, and I actually win at kill team sometimes. So I'll probably be in the GT there. They had like 5 spaces open when I looked like last week. So yeah, so see me at an event if you're in the area, or if I'm in your area, I guess. So
And it sounds like you're going to almost every event. You are a busy
yeah,
man, I've got to say. Blimey. Blimey. But
yeah,
it's good to
I
see.
love traveling. So yeah,
Oh, well, perfect then. Perfect.
yeah.
Okay, well, awesome. Certainly, quickly mentioning, you mentioned it there, Alex, who is Kill Team Academies. We had him on. He was the guy that was talking next to you in
Mhm.
the last interview with you I did. Uh, I think the way he's doing his BAO, Bay Area Open,
Mhm.
with half regular Kill Team, half Arena is really. I'm not saying that's the way it should be played, but I think
Mhm.
it's another factor that makes you have to go to your roster and really think about how to play your kill team. And I think that's a really good thing. Something that forces you to make decisions is, when it comes to list building is really interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's perfect for the roster.
Mm,
In the 50-50 format, maybe it's not such a trap. Oh, actually,
maybe.
games when I'm like, oh, in the last minute changes, but yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. Definitely. I mean, if you've got the terrain to do it, it seems like you've either got all the arena boards or you've got all the more traditional terrain, and to have both, it's just he's got a local guy that he met up with down there who's got like a dozen arena boards. So they'll have,
Yes,
enough from
I
him. And
believe that's Michael again. Michael, the Azerani player's friend. It's called Kill Team Stream. I don't know if he actually has a stream, but again, he's in the Discord
then,
because everybody seems to be in the
yeah,
Discord.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I didn't know that was him, but it makes
Yes,
sense
yeah,
that
that's
we'd
him.
all be there together. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, awesome. It's been 2 hours now, so we will probably wrap things up. Um,
sounds good.
so thank you very much for doing the interview. Obviously, this is
Hmm.
just going to be the first of the Adepticon deep dives, dismantlings, discussions that I do. As I mentioned, I've got Eric with his Tau, I've got Chuck with his Necrons. I'm hoping to get in touch with George from Warp Charge Gaming. Um, I'd also like to get in touch with the Game 4 guys. Um,
Yeah.
I something tells me I won't get an interview with them, but we will see. At the very least, I'd like to know the information they put out to present on the channel. And yeah, then of course, potentially meeting you on Saturday at Warhammer World, and then playing myself on the Sunday at Warhammer World with Grey Knights. So obviously, if I'm not last, I'm happy. If I'm
Oh,
honest,
I thought you were
that's
joking. I
no,
thought you were
no. I'm
joking about
I'm
Grey
really taking
Knight.
Grey Knights. Yeah, yeah. Five
Okay,
man
well,
list. No, if I'm middle of the pack, I'm gonna be really happy. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, there's
yeah,
definitely something to be said. That's kind of like what Chuck does with the Necrons, where he knows they're like a mid or lower tier army, and a lot of like the
yeah.
pride from like him doing well with them, winning pods, getting third place LVO is like, you're playing with the underdog, and that's definitely like, it's a competition in and of itself. So
Yeah,
I,
no, indeed. As exactly as you said, if you have to set your expectations, if you want to be at the top, don't play Grey Knights. Basically,
Mhm.
that's the only rule there is to get to the top. But yeah, yeah, you set your expectations,
Yeah,
and ultimately, the faction you take does, to some degree, dictate how well you can do. But okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much for the chat, Elliot.
thanks
Um,
for having me. It's always
I
great talking with you.
yeah, it's always good to this is why I started the channel. I just wanted to chat about Kill Team with to people really,
Hmm.
and there weren't enough people in my local area, so I was like, oh, well, I'll do it on YouTube then. So this is the final culmination of that desire, I suppose. Um,
Perfect.
but awesome. Well, thank you very much, and
Yeah,
everybody.
thank
I
you
hope
too.
that you've enjoyed watching Elliot and myself discuss Kill Team, give kind of an overview of Adepticon, and hopefully we're going to dive into a little bit more regarding how games actually went, how the meta was per se, and how the
Hmm.
way Adepticon was run would affect the meta compared to if, as Elliot mentioned earlier, Nova goes over to arena only, just like Warhammer World is doing arena
Hmm.
only. That means that the results we're getting from Adepticon, odd as it might sound, aren't going to mean nearly as much because arena's a different beast, you know. And we will dive into that in another chat. But for now, it's 1 a.m. here. So, Elliot, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me, Glass Half Dead as well. I hope everyone's had a great day and continue to have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.